Introduction. The Caribbean legal system, rooted in both common law and colonial influences, incorporates principles like legal precedent and statutory interpretation to guide its judiciary. These concepts ensure fairness, consistency, and adaptability within the Caribbean's legal framework. By examining legal precedent, the hierarchy of courts, and statutory interpretation approaches, this presentation aims to explain the structural and interpretive foundations that shape Caribbean law and justice. Understanding these mechanisms is crucial to appreciating how Caribbean courts maintain justice while adapting to evolving societal changes.
Let's begin with legal precedent. Legal precedent, or case law, refers to previous court decisions that guide future cases. This is captured in the doctrine of stare decisis, meaning let the decision stand. In the Caribbean, this ensures that similar cases are treated equally, promoting stability and predictability in our legal system. However, higher courts have the authority to review and overturn earlier precedents when necessary, allowing for flexibility. Let's look at the key functions of legal precedent. First, binding authority. Lower courts must follow decisions from higher courts, ensuring consistency and predictability in the law. Second, persuasive authority. When no binding precedent exists, judges can refer to decisions from other courts as guidance, offering valuable insights. Third, flexibility. Courts can adapt by distinguishing cases or overruling outdated precedents, keeping the law responsive to new challenges. Lastly, adaptability. Legal precedent helps the judiciary evolve with societal and technological changes, ensuring the law stays relevant and effective.
Understanding the structure of our courts is key to grasping how legal precedence operates. At the base, we have the magistrate courts, which handle minor cases. Above them are the high courts, dealing with serious criminal and civil matters. Then there is the Court of Appeal, which reviews decisions from the high courts. Next, we have the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, which serve as the final appellate bodies. And at the top, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. It is the highest appellate court for several Caribbean countries that have not yet transitioned to the Caribbean Court of Justice. Application of precedents. Legal precedent operates within the Caribbean legal system through a clear hierarchy. Magistrate courts follows decisions from higher courts but don't set binding precedents, only persuasive. High courts follow rulings from the Court of Appeal, CCJ, or Privy Council and bind lower courts. The Court of Appeal sets binding precedents for high and magistrate courts but can revise its own ruling in special cases. The CCJ and Privy Council serve as the highest appellate courts with their decisions binding on all lower courts, ensuring consistency across the system. Let's look at two cases on legal precedents in the Caribbean. Earl Pratt and Ivan Morgan versus Attorney General of Jamaica. Pratt and Morgan spent 14 years on death row, arguing it was inhumane. The Privy Council agreed, leading to death row phenomenon precedents, which limits death row stays to 5 years. This case prompted Caribbean nations to adjust death penalty practices. Jeffrey Joseph and Lennox Bino versus Attorney General of Barbados. Joseph and Bino faced mandatory death sentences. The Privy Council ruled that this violated their rights, altering their sentences to life imprisonment. This reinforced the need for judicial discretion and fueled debates on the death penalty. Both cases, the JCPC declared rulings that set precedents to protect human rights and shape judicial policies in the region.
The Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, or JCPC, has significantly influenced Caribbean legal precedent in several key ways. 1. Emphasis on procedural fairness. The JCPC prioritizes fair trials, especially in criminal cases, to protect defendants' rights. 2. Interpretation of law. It interprets both common and constitutional law, adapting its decisions to the specific legal frameworks of each Caribbean nation. 3. Role as the final appellate court. Serving as the highest court for many Caribbean countries, the JCPC's rulings have shaped these nations' legal systems. 4. Criminal and civil appeals. The JCPC handles important civil and criminal cases, including those on the death penalty, influencing the regional legal landscape. 5. Impact on the death penalty. While not opposing capital punishment, the JCPC's rulings have made it harder to implement, emphasizing procedural safeguards and human rights. 6. Key case. Charles Matthew versus Trinidad and Tobago. In this case, the JCPC upheld the mandatory death penalty using the Savings Clause in Trinidad and Tobago's constitution, which protects pre-constitutional laws from being challenged as unconstitutional. Through these rules, the JCPC has left a lasting impact on the development of legal precedent in the Caribbean.
Moving on to statutory interpretation. It is a process of interpreting and applying legislation. It is a method that seeks to resolve vagueness in legislation, ensuring laws are applied correctly. The main approach includes the literal rule, which focuses on the direct meaning of words, the golden rule, which avoids absurd outcomes, the mischief rule, which seeks to correct the statute's deficiencies, and the purposive approach, which aims to achieve the broader legislative intent.
Application of statutory interpretation. Judges often rely on statutory interpretation to clarify the meanings of laws, especially when statutes lack clear definitions. Without an interpretation section or a general interpretation act, judges turn to four main rules. The literal rule. If words of a statute are clear and unambiguous, they are given their natural meaning, even if the result is harsh or undesirable. The golden rule. If the literal interpretation of a statute leads to an absurd result, the court can adjust the meaning to avoid this. The mischief rule. Judges look at the statute's intent and consider what gap or issue the legislation aimed to address, interpreting the law in a way that suppresses the mischief and advances the remedy. Purposive approach. Judges interpret statutory provisions in a way that aligns with the overall intent and purpose of the legislation, even if this means going beyond the literal meaning of the words. The roles of judges in statutory law. Judges play a key role in statutory interpretation by choosing the method that best fits the law's purpose. They analyze the language and context to apply laws fairly, balancing practicality and justice. Their choices directly impact legal outcomes. For example, in Riggs versus Palmer, the court used a purposive approach to deny inheritance to a murderer, upholding the law's intent to prevent unjust gain from criminal acts. This case highlights how judges use interpretation to maintain a fair and just legal system.
Impact of statutory interpretation. Statutory interpretation plays a crucial role in ensuring laws are applied fairly, consistently, and effectively. Judges interpret the statute's meaning to ensure it is applied correctly in specific cases. Courts ensure that the laws are applied as intended by the legislator. This respects the separation of powers by aligning judicial interpretation with legislative objectives. Statutory interpretation allows the law to evolve with societal and technological changes. Judges fill gaps where legislation may be silent or insufficiently detailed, ensuring the law remains functional and comprehensive. In conclusion, legal precedent and statutory interpretation are the cornerstones of the Caribbean legal system, providing the necessary framework to ensure consistency, fairness, and adaptability in judicial decision making. By adhering to established precedents, courts maintain stability and predictability across cases, fostering trust in the legal system. Meanwhile, statutory interpretation empowers judges to apply the law effectively, adapting to societal changes while respecting legislative intent. Together, these principles enable the Caribbean judiciary to uphold justice, balancing the need for continuity with flexibility required to address evolving legal and social challenges. This creates a balanced and responsive legal framework, ensuring that the legal system continues to serve the region's unique needs effectively.